Completely true. So look, it's fantastic to see you here. Are you recording this? You're a YouTuber here.
Well, there's certainly no flies on Alex. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's Mike. Earlier this year I had the honour to visit the UK's Houses of Parliament and for the first time meet Alex Chalk. Although I'm not really sure this was the first time we'd actually met.
Knocked on a door in Cheltenham Kings, door opens, this lady goes, oh, flash of recognition, I know who you are.
Yeah.
You might be better than your brother, but we don't want David Miliband here. Either, she said. That was total.
On a cold and sunny January morning in Cheltenham, the day would start off well. Travelling with approximately 30 other guests of Alex, we arrived in London by midday. And having gone through security, we were ushered into a large room, where Alex greeted us and provided us with a number of very funny anecdotes.
Michael Howard goes to HMP, one with Scrubs, and the governor of the prison says, Home Secretary, we're so pleased to have you here. If you wouldn't mind addressing the prisoners. He thinks it's a bit strange, but I better go along with it. And anyway, they're all in the exercise yard, rather as you are now, and he's looking at them, and they're looking at him, and rather nervous, he doesn't know how to begin, so he just goes, I'm delighted to see you all here. And I am delighted to see you all here.
And then he recalls how the then Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, came to Cheltenham to support him.
Strong bit of advice. If you remember nothing else from this talk, remember this. If any of you are thinking about standing for election, can I suggest you lie down in a darker room until the moment passes? Because there are so many opportunities for total disaster. So there I was, 2015, shortly after the David Miliband debacle, and the message went out, okay, Alex, clearly no one knows who you are in Cheltenham. So what we're going to do, we've got this brilliant, brilliant idea. We are going to send down the Mayor of London, as he then was. I don't know if any of you can remember who the Mayor of London was. So I said, right. Even then I thought this was a high-risk strategy. So he turns up, so just outside the town hall, you know, on Oriel Road Street, I forget which one it is. Anyway, just there, it's outside town hall, gets out the car. He's initially absolutely on message. So he's going, chop for chop, and chop for chop, and he's sort of like this rotating haystack, and it's all going absolutely fine. Anyway, there's then a pause as he sort of shakes hands of all the kind of dignitaries or whatever. And there was someone from the BBC there who, recognising that I might not have been the only person he'd come to support that day, waits his moment, and then just sidles up, puts a microphone in his face and goes, so Mayor, for the residents, for the audience of BBC Radio Gloucestershire, can you just remind us, please, what is the name of the person you've come to support? And I have to tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, the name that came back was not mine. The name that came back was instead of an estate agent who'd been advertising heavily on the London Road coming into Cheltenham Kings. So that was another complete disaster.
So altogether we were with Alex for about an hour, of which 30 minutes of that was his talking about his anecdotes, and then he took questions.
I am so thrilled that you're here. What we're going to do now is we're going to have a bit of a candid chat. I will try and answer as many questions about whatever you want to talk about. No pothole too small.
Well, that would be fine if he hadn't already filled in a large number of Cheltenham's potholes. Still, he could tell us how he planned to clean up Cheltenham.
Great. So how many of you know about Ajax? Oh yeah, a few. Very good.
Really?
There was a question, was it just gentlemen? Hi.
Are you able to tell us any more about your new appointment at the Defence Ministry?
A lot to learn, big responsibilities, but I come at it from an unsentimental background. So I'm a patriot, I care passionately about the defence of our country, but I do so with very...
I'll add more of Alex's anecdotes to the end of the video. But for now, what about the tour? I have to say the tour was excellent. We're all provided with remote headphones so we could listen to the brilliant tour guides. However, disappointingly I wasn't allowed to film much of the tour. And to add insult to injury, even the only camera I had decided it was going to play up. I wouldn't let that defeat me. So we start in Westminster Hall, which is the oldest part of the Palace of Westminster. Its hammer beam roof is the largest in the world, and the largest medieval unsupported roof in Northern Europe. The hall is used for ceremonial occasions, such as Queen Elizabeth II's lying in state. At the southern end of the hall is a stained glass window containing the arms and monograms of MPs, peers and staff of the Commons. Next we entered St Stephen's Hall, and this is where the Commons sat from the mid-16th century until the fire of 1834. The hall is impressively decorated, with statues reflecting its earlier role and depict in marble the great MPs of the time. As the tour continues, you'll come across some of the finest art and craftsmanship in the UK. Sadly, this was the last point at which I was able to film. However, at our next stop, at the Commons Chamber and Corridor, is where we discovered some links to Cheltenham, and I'll let Alex explain.
Oh yes, and by the way, where were those dispatch boxes made? Cheltenham. And have a look, spare a thought for the Speaker's chair. It might be a bit of a clue now. Where was the Speaker's chair made? Cheltenham. Very good, yeah. So it was on the Lansdowne Industrial Estate. So have a look at that. And in fact, one of the things that I did recently was I went and spoke to the last remaining carver, because you'll know that in the Second World War it was bombed during the Blitz, and a lot of the woodwork afterwards was done. And there was Mr. Lashford Spinks. That's his name, isn't it? Michael, yeah. So I went to go and see him. He lives in Winchcombe now, and he worked on that chair. And that's worth knowing. So actually somewhere in the seam, in the joins of that, he told me that as a young 18-year-old apprentice, he wrote his name. And it's concealed in there. So we won't tell anyone else. But that's our Cheltenham little secret. So he's in there.
Well, I think Alex just let the cat out of the bag. We ended the tour in the Lord's Chamber. Completed in 1847, it was designed to be the grandest in the palace. Well, I certainly enjoyed the whole experience, and it was great value for money, having only to pay for the coach travel. The only thing to be wary of is that it is quite a long day. As promised, here is an anecdote from Alex regarding Jeremy Corbyn. But before that, remember, if you're enjoying the video, to give us a big old like.
And I will never forget, and for the purpose of this story, ladies and gentlemen, it does not matter what your political views are. I sincerely hope that there are people here of all political persuasions and none. So that's not the point. But when Jeremy Corbyn first became leader of the opposition, whether you were on the left, whether you were on the right, whether you didn't have any political affiliation, this had come as a bit of a shock, because no one could quite believe this had happened, not least because most people didn't know him. They didn't know who he was. And so at the first PMQ, so that was the mood, no one knew who this guy was. First PMQs, or one of the early PMQs, he's there leaning over the dispatch box, which you'll see. And he says, and I went to the European Commission, and do you know what they said? Do you know what they said? And there was a pause and someone said, who are you? so there's it, and of course, just...
You need to smash the like button.
Yeah, smash that like button. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye for now. Remember, if you want to keep up to date with all of our videos, then subscribe to the channel.